Hello everyone, my name is Zach. I am the Traveling Man, and today I'm here on board Celebrity Eclipse, where we have just docked today in Royal Naval Dockyard here in Bermuda, and I'm about to head out on an excursion. I'm going to do something a little bit different that I've never done before. It's going to be a bike ride along Bermuda's Railway Trail, and it should be something completely different. I'm really excited to share it with you, so come on if you're ready. Let's get this adventure here in Bermuda started. Time is currently about 12:30 in the afternoon, and I thought before we got off the ship I'd show you a little bit of what the crowds are like here on board. A lot of folks choosing to stay on board today. This is our first port stop on this cruise. We're on a 10-day cruise. Yesterday was a day at sea, so a lot of folks, it looks like, are just wanting to hang back and have a relaxed day, but not me. I love Bermuda. I've been here a few times before, and excited to get out and see some more of it and do some things I've not done. Before we leave the ship, I thought I would show you the 10,000 foot view, as it were, of Royal Naval Dockyard. It's a beautiful place, and I've been here a few times before, as I mentioned. There's so many things to do right here in the immediate port area. I've made a couple of videos about that, and I'll put links to those down in the description and info cards, so you can go back and watch those if you haven't already. But a lot of shopping here. There's the Bermuda like National Museum right over there. You can see it, the building to the far right over there. You can see a lot of boats and ferries and things to take you to other parts of the island, but just so many things to do in the immediate port vicinity if you just wanted to get off the ship and not do anything too far away. But we're gonna go too far away. We're gonna go ride some bikes. So let's go downstairs now. Got just a few minutes to meet for my tour, but let's go get it started. So there we go, off the ship now, 12:35 approximately, and the tour is actually scheduled to start at 1, and it's a little bit later in the day. That's because we didn't get in until about 10 o'clock this morning. There were options, I think, typically options if you want to go independent for like a 9 a.m. tour, but we weren't here early enough for that. We will be leaving at 5 though, so this is about a 3.5 hour tour that we're about to head out on. But our group is assembling right over here, and pretty soon we'll be headed out on our adventure. Now we can see the Norwegian Joy there behind us in port today. Norwegian Joy is sailing out of Manhattan. We were actually sailing out of Boston on this cruise, and I was actually sailing on Norwegian Joy back in May for Memorial Day weekend, and was docked right here in Royal Naval Dockyard for about 3 days on that ship, along with, funny enough, the Celebrity Eclipse. So I do have videos from that you can go back and watch if you would like to, but cool to see her again. And that means there are a lot of people in port today, because that ship will hold a ton of people. I think something like near 4,000 people. And then our like 2,800 that we have on Celebrity. We're currently just waiting a bit. One of the folks here receiving people as they come off the ship for tours actually told us that because Norwegian Joy was here earlier, they already did a tour of the bike ride this morning, and we'll be waiting on them to return before they'll be able to take us. So we're supposed to depart at 1 in about 20 minutes, but she did say that it's likely going to be delayed, and we likely won't get to leave until about 1:15 or so. But they would still be back at the same time and everything. So probably just gonna have to truncate our tour a little bit. After a short bus ride, probably about 10 minutes from the port area, we've made it. And here are the bikes. All right, so we are all set now. Got our helmet, got our bike, which I'll show you here in just a second, and we're ready to set out. I think it's like a 90-minute bike tour. Currently 1:30, and then we'll come back here. The tour is, of course, going to stop at some highlights, and we'll see some scenic type things and tell you a little bit about what we're seeing. But 90 minutes on the bike, then we'll come back here, and then we'll actually have time to go to a beach to kind of cool off. So that'll be nice to have a few minutes to go. Relaxation when we get back from the bike ride. But yeah, let's head out now on the bike. Let me show you the bike first. It is a Trek bike. It's a 21 speed, so it's nice. And they're all pretty much identical. They do have water. They provided water for folks. I don't have water in my holder because I do have my backpack on still with water in it. But yeah, this should be a really good time.
Area, we go on the main road for a split second. Main mountain will stop the traffic on either side of the road.
Kind of just stopped here a bit.
It's a little bit different than ours.
See some squash here. They're growing this garden. Kind of going off the road, though. You can see we've changed the road for some dirt trails. At this point, we're just walking our bike since it is kind of uneven terrain here. We are on, all-terrain bikes, though, so technically we could ride this, but I think to keep everybody safe, we're going to just push them for a bit as we go around the garden. Sort of feels like you could be anywhere here. I grew up in Tennessee, and this is feeling a lot like Tennessee, especially with the heat today.
History of the train. Yeah, just stay on the left side. Some vehicles might be coming. Train stop ran from 1931 to 1948. But in the early 1920s, we had two avid visitors to the island, Mark Twain and Woodrow Wilson. In the 20s, the Bermuda government wanted to bring in cars and vehicles to the island.
Now we've ditched the bikes and are going on a little hike up to the fort. But a nice little reprieve from the bike ride. We've probably already done a few miles now, so we're probably about halfway, or a little over halfway done with the bike riding portion. Riding along the Bermuda Railway Trail.
Wet.
And now, yeah, hiking through the woods. After a pretty good hike through the woods, all the way uphill, because we were down there near the water on the trail. Now we're up here on the hill. We've reached the fort. I've been here a couple times before, but I mean, just look how beautiful it is here. Really, thoroughly displays the beauty of Bermuda. This just underscores how beautiful Bermuda is. You see how blue the water is down there. Probably the video is not doing it justice, but if you were standing here right now, it's just a moment of awe. And another cool thing right over here, the little island right over there about the center of the screen now, that's actually called Devil's Head. And that is the beginning of the famous Bermuda Triangle. So a really cool experience so far. Riding the bike along the, I've mentioned it a couple of times, the Bermuda Railway Trail. And essentially that trail used to be the railway. So back in the day of like Mark Twain and other famous visitors, very famous visitors who would come to Bermuda, this is back before cars were here on the island. So they wanted some way to be transported around the island. And so they built a railway. They cut through all the limestone and made a railway. However, it was probably the most inefficient railway that you've ever heard of in your life. The railway covered 21 miles, but it would take sometimes 6 hours to cover that 21 miles. And actually horse and carriage could go faster than the railway. So now the tracks have all been removed. It's a paved trail. We've just been riding the bikes on it and getting to see a lot of the scenery, stopping off at places like this to learn a little bit more about Bermuda. So this is really cool and really a unique way to get a tour of a place, not being on a bus or boat or anything like that, because typically you can see this stuff on tours. I've seen them before when I've come here, but there's just something a little bit cooler about seeing it via bicycle and going literally off-road on a bike and adventuring that way. It's really cool so far. And now that our bike ride is over, we're heading down to the beach to relax a bit before we head back to the ship. It's a nice beach. It's a little bit secluded. It's off the beaten path. This looks more like where residential folks, people that live here on Bermuda, might go. So take a dip in here before we head back to the ship. So this might look warm and inviting, but like I said earlier, it's October and this water is actually very chilly. It's very cold to get in, hard to get in past your knees. See all the fish swimming around in it though. Beautiful water though, so clear. Just very cold, deceptively so. So now back in the room after our exciting excursion today. I have to say that was a pretty good excursion as far as like being a little bit more adventurous and doing something a little bit different. There were a couple of stops, 2 stops, one where we talked about the railway. It was actually at the first railway station that ever opened in Bermuda. And then the second stop you saw there, the fort that we hiked up to. those are the two stops. And then the bike ride was kind of just like going to and fro those two stops. Honestly, I wish we had gotten to ride the bike a little bit more. I'd like to have ridden more of the railway trail. I think in total we rode probably around or maybe just under 5 miles from what I could tell. I wish we had more time. It was also very slow because there were so many people and it was kind of stop and goes. So of course there's a lot of roads that you cross, getting on and off the trail, and just the trail actually intersects several roads, so you do have to just stop and be patient and watch for traffic. But I do wish we had a little bit more time. I also didn't like that the tour started late, as I mentioned earlier. The bus just wasn't there because they had a tour out earlier this morning. Yet we weren't able to like have longer of a bike ride or anything because of that. You know, it seemed like we still needed to be back at 4:30, so everything just kind of seemed a little bit rushed on it. I did book this excursion directly through Celebrity. I just booked it yesterday. It was a last minute thing. I wasn't going to do anything in Bermuda, and the reason for that is because we didn't really know if we were going to make Bermuda because there was a hurricane headed to Bermuda. Hurricane Milton was headed here earlier in the week. Thankfully, it moved further south and didn't impact Bermuda at all, so we were able to come in, but didn't think we were even going to make Bermuda, so didn't really plan anything for it. I wish I'd planned better, but I'm glad that I did try something different. I did enjoy riding a bike. Like I said earlier, it was cool, like, adventuring by bicycle. Highly encourage you to do that if you've never done it before. I did pay $125.99, so the same as $126 to Celebrity for that short excursion. I don't know that I would do it again for that price. Maybe if the price came down, really, maybe under $100 it would be worth it, but for that much, it's a little bit too much for like the 3 hours we actually got, and only like maybe an hour of that total was actually on a bicycle. So that's my thoughts on the excursion. We are now about to leave Bermuda. I think they're actually dropping the lines now. It is 5:01. We're supposed to be out of here at 5. Our original time today to leave Bermuda was not going to be until I think after 6, maybe 6:30. But they said yesterday, the captain came on and said that Bermuda wanted us to leave early because of the sunset, and they want us to be out of the channel by sunset or something. So we're leaving early, and that's fine. We do have 1,300 miles to cover. Our next stop is Curacao. So we're going from Bermuda in the middle of the Atlantic all the way south to the Southern Caribbean and the South American continent, basically, to Curacao, which would be cool. And then we'll have 3 days in the ABC Islands. So excited for that. I am on a repositioning cruise, if you didn't know and haven't seen some of the other videos from this cruise, a repositioning cruise from Boston to Fort Lauderdale. So 10 days, a lot of cool stops, but it's going to be nice to just relax on the ship for the next 2 days. But now I'm going to stop talking. We're going to head outside and see some of the Cellway, because it's always a really special Cellway here from Bermuda. So we've now moved away from the pier. You can see the Norwegian Joy there, and all of the dockyard back here. Looks like we're going to swing around here and go right back out that way, right out the channel. So we're back on the balcony here. Here's my balcony. That's a deluxe balcony here on board, deluxe veranda here on board Celebrity Eclipse. We're slowly backing up. The reason for that is because the Norwegian Joy is behind us. We got to go around them. And then we're gonna have to turn around completely at some point, but it's a very narrow channel here because there's a lot of shallow waters around Bermuda. They protect Bermuda, or used to protect Bermuda from pirates and whatnot. But we gotta be very careful maneuvering through the channel, as we'll see as we start our journey through it. The Joy there is sailing out of Manhattan, and she's actually going to be staying here overnight, so they're not leaving today. So that's why they're still here and able to stay while we are being forced out early because of the sunset or whatever. But she'll be here all night tonight, so those folks get to enjoy a beautiful overnight Bermuda. A lot of cruises do that. If you ever got the opportunity to sail down to Bermuda, I highly, highly recommend that you do. I love Bermuda. It's one of my favorite places to cruise to. One of the most beautiful that you can cruise to, for sure. And as we sail away, that's going to do it for our time in Bermuda. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please go down below, give me a thumbs up. Also, be sure to subscribe for a lot more cruising adventures to come very soon. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you on the next adventure.